McNamara, I'm the leader of the band. Although we're few in numbers, we're the finest in the land. We play at wakes and weddings and at every fancy ball. And when we play to funerals, we play the march from Saul.
Oh, the drums go banging, the cymbals clanging, the horns they blaze away. McCarthy pumps the old bassoon while I the pipes do play. And Hennessy, Tennessee tootles the flute and the music is something grand. A credit to old Ireland is McNamara's band.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to An Evening with Senator Moore. We're very happy to have with us some distinguished guests on the Senator's program here tonight. And by the way, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Joe Coggins, and without further ado, I want to introduce our distinguished guest and some very nice people that we had an opportunity to chat a little bit with before we went on the air. And I'd like to introduce from Radius, the Worcester Executive Director, Kevin LeClaire.
Thank you.
And with Kevin today, and she did this to me on purpose, she made me try to learn how to say her last name, and then just before we just started the show, she said I could call her Dr. B. So Dr. Madeline B., and she is Radius Corporate Medical Officer. Is that correct?
That's right. Nice to be
Great.
here.
And it's great to have you aboard. Senator, you want to give them your Senator greetings?
Oh, no, thanks for coming here tonight and telling us about Radius Healthcare and what you can provide for the people there. So it's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, for the longest time, Radius, had a facility here in Millbury. So I feel very close and very nice to see you folks here. It was certainly nice seeing Karen Kaprowski again, because I haven't seen Karen in years. But it was really great to see her too. On that note, I want to start off with an easy question, and that's pretty much give us a rundown and tell us about Radius and just an overview of what Radius does and what you afford the community.
Absolutely, thank you. Radius Management has 12 skilled nursing facilities, and they also have 2 assisted living facilities in Massachusetts and in Rhode Island. Radius also has 2 long-term acute care hospitals, one in Quincy and one in Boston. Radius, unlike a lot of the competitors out there, the bigger chains, is a small local company that has some very good community ties. We have 2 locations in Central Mass. One is Radius of Worcester and Radius of Southbridge. Radius of Worcester is it's located on 119 Providence Street, and it's a 144-bed skilled nursing facility. We're centrally located to routes 146 and Mass Pike, and about 5 miles from Millbury. The 144-bed skilled facility in Worcester has 4 units. One of the units is a short-term subacute rehabilitation unit. We also have 2 Alzheimer's units as well, and those are secured units. They're known as our Candlewood units. And we also have a traditional long-term care unit. Recently, the Department of Public Health surveyed Worcester, and that was back in September. And when they survey the facilities, they're usually once a year, they're annual, and they look at about 500 regulations to survey the facilities. And I'm proud to say that we were deficiency-free for September 2010 for our survey, so something we're really proud of.
And I know for a fact that that's because my wife worked
very hard to come
for many years, and that's a tough
Yes.
road to hoe there. So congratulations
Thank you.
for that.
Thank you.
That is quite an accomplishment. Senator.
Can you tell us more about your specialized services that you offer in the nursing department?
Sure, I'd love to. So we have as Director of Nursing Services, we have a geriatric nurse practitioner, which means she's an advanced practice nurse and very, very skilled in leading the clinical team that cares for the elders who are in our facility. We also have a quality improvement nurse who's a registered nurse, and in fact we have registered nurses and licensed practical nurses around the clock. We have physician and nurse practitioner services 7 days a week. We do a lot of fairly acute clinical care, including things like wound management, intravenous lines, central lines, the sorts of care for serious infections that people sometimes need long-term care for after they've been in the hospital. We do oxygen for folks who need it. We do glucose monitoring for folks with diabetes or problems with their sugar. We do all kinds of care for patients with different kinds of diseases like lung disease, so folks who have a tracheostomy, or folks who need long-term pulmonary support. We take care of patients who've had surgery in the hospital and might have, for example, a surgical wound that needs some intervention, some draining, things of that nature. We have a full diagnostic capability, so if somebody needs an EKG, if somebody needs an X-ray, if somebody needs laboratory work, that's all something that's done on-site in our facility. We really pride ourselves on the skill of our nurses and other professionals that provide the care in the facility. In fact, we participate in a statewide career ladder program that's designed for professional development for both nurses' aides and nurses, licensed practical nurses and registered nurses who want to advance their careers. And we do a lot of training within our organization around issues of professional development and clinical management of the kinds of conditions that we care for.
Great. Very good.
Very good. Very good, Doctor. That's I guess there's more than people think, I guess, in operating a facility quite as yours. Whoever answers this next question, I have a question after the question, but it's not a trick question. It's just something that just a question I have to ask. Okay. On rehab, what type of rehab program does your facility provide, and is there a focus on short-term rehab?
Yes, we actually offer physical, occupational, and speech therapy, and that's offered 7 days a week by our licensed therapists as well as our certified assistants. Those are offered for those individuals who come in short-term, whether it's after a joint or knee replacement, surgery of some sort, or someone who just had a stroke. We also offer cardiac reconditioning as well for people who come in with CHF or COPD, or people who are coming in recouping after a heart attack. These services we also offer for our long-term population as well. We offer services such as ambulation programs for our long-term population. It could be dietary needs, swallowing. If someone has issues with swallowing, we'll have speech come and see them. So we also offer these services for the long-term population because we want to make sure that they maintain their prior level of function and maintain as independent living as possible while they're at our facility. And that also includes bathing, dressing, grooming, whatnot, because we feel at Radius that it's very important for not just our short-term rehab, but our long-term population as well to have the therapies provided by the facility to keep them at their highest level of functioning.
Now the question within the question, on referring to that, and only because I can relate to that. Okay, do you segregate your short-term and your long-term? In other words, you have a section for short-term rehabs patients, and then of course, obviously, your long-term rehab.
We do.
Or long-term patients.
We do. We have the two dedicated Alzheimer's units are strictly for the Alzheimer's patients because we have specialized programs. But we do try to keep the short-term and the long-term separate just because of the special needs. As Dr. B had stated, a lot of the things that we do, we have a lot of acute patients that come in. And once they reach, once we do the therapy with them and they reach their level of function, they're able to go home after a week or two, and they're not needing the long-term care. So we do, but we also have activities and people intermingle if they'd like to. We have activities for short-term and long-term for the Alzheimer's as well. So.
Oh, that's good.
What is the definition or difference between short-term and long-term? What?
That's a good question.
It's basically, if someone's coming in after like a surgery, somebody who is out in the community doing, living their normal lives, and something happened to them where they would need a surgery, hip replacement, something like that, they would come in for aggressive short-term rehab, whether it's physical therapy or occupational therapy.
But is it geared towards 2 weeks, a month?
It's geared towards, once they come in, we try to, by diagnosis, see exactly how long they would need to stay with us, and we do 72-hour meetings with the families and with the residents to let them know these are the goals and here are the expectations, and to get you back into the community as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So.
All right. Now you had mentioned Alzheimer's. Now, I guess the statistics from the Alzheimer's Association show that there's an increase in Alzheimer's, not just in the elderly, but also in younger adults. Your programs that you offer regarding that?
Yes, we offer programs, and again, it's on our Candlewood unit, which is our Alzheimer's unit, and we offer programs based upon the needs of the residents' activities. Based on actually two things. One, the level of the aggression of where they are in terms of the stage of the Alzheimer's disease, and two, based on individualized needs as well. We do some group activities, but we also do a lot of individualized activities for the residents, geared towards hobbies that they like to do in the past when they were living out in the community. We do such things as music therapy, aromatherapy, pet therapy, art therapy. We have a lot of patients who've never done art therapy, never did drawings or anything like that, that actually are doing it and engaging in it, and we see positive results in that. Right. And our staff are trained before they actually come onto the units. They're offered an extensive training program and orientation on dealing with the Alzheimer's population, because it is a difficult population. And we also educate and provide support services for family members as well, who not only have loved ones in the facility at Radius of Worcester, but also who have family members that they're taking care of at home. So we offer them services like that, support services in our facility.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy, there's a lot to go with that, with both of you in your job. You know, the big thing today, as you both know, and Doctor, you especially, along with the facility itself, but also being a doctor, that with healthcare reform on the news and the role of the skilled nursing facilities will be playing in partnering with the acute hospitals to reduce healthcare costs. Are there any initiatives specifically that Radius Worcester has taken as part of this trend?
Yes, there are, and actually to follow up on Senator Moore's question about what exactly is the difference between short-term and long-term, it's an important question, because there's been a big change in nursing facility care over the course of the last 10 years that's in large measure in response to some of the trends that you're talking about. It used to be, not that long ago, that folks who went to a skilled nursing facility were pretty much going for long-term care. They were going because either they had Alzheimer's disease or they had some other condition that made them too frail and too complicated to be safe at home. And that's still the case, certainly that's the case. And as Kevin was saying about the Alzheimer's population, it's a big difference between somebody who's just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and somebody who's had the disorder for 1 or 2 or many years. And one of the things that we're able to do for folks who have complicated end-of-life conditions is provide both that safe environment that is based on all the best practices, the evidence-based practices that we know people respond to best when they're struggling with those kinds of conditions, both the resident who lives in our facility and the family who loves that person as well. But for other folks, increasingly, as hospitals have had to discharge patients sooner than they had to years ago for a variety of different reasons, people still need some medical care and rehabilitation care after they've left a hospital. And so there, you know, when you need the hospital, you need the hospital, and our hospitals provide wonderful care. But it used to be that folks would be able to stay for longer periods of time and sort of finish out the course of that illness in the hospital. Nowadays, what happens is people get stabilized in the hospital, and they'll often come to a place like Radius Worcester to get what we call subacute or short-term medical and rehabilitation care. And what that means is if somebody's had a bad medical problem like a heart attack, and they have some heart failure and they have some conditions that need monitoring and intervention, or if they've had an accident, or if they've had surgery, they might stay for 2 or 3 or 4 days in the hospital, and then they might come for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks to Radius Worcester and to get physician care, nurse practitioner care, round-the-clock nursing, physical, occupational, speech therapy, the things that they need in order to be able to get back to the ability to take care of themselves and be at home safely and get back to their physician's office. So that's what the short-term care really provides. And in terms of the healthcare reform issue, what we have done is partner with our acute hospitals. We do a lot of work, particularly around a program that we call Interact, which is the interventions to reduce acute care transfers, meaning that even though you've had a very short hospital stay, when you come to us, we do everything we can do to make sure that you stay in our facility. If you have to go back to the hospital, sure, we transfer you back and we make that a comfortable experience. But we're trying very hard to assess any changes in condition that might occur quickly and make sure that we address them rapidly so that if you don't need to go back to the hospital, you don't have to. And by doing that, we try to prevent things like unnecessary infections and any kinds of complications from the transition that might occur.
Well, you know, I know that the senator was very excited about having you folks on the show, and we want to thank you both for coming. But we also want to thank Art Corey, one of our school committee members, who approached the senator in reference to having you folks here. And of course, Karen Kaprowski was nice. I had a few conversations with her on the telephone. I've known Karen for many, many years. Lovely lady, and I'm sure she's a major asset for your facility.
Definitely.
And to you, Doctor, and to you, Kevin, pleasure having you. And Senator, do you have any closing remarks?
Well, no, again, thank you for coming on, because I think it's very important for the public to realize where our medical treatment in long and short-term residential programs are going. Because we keep hearing about the expensive cost of healthcare today. So it's good for them to understand what we're trying to do. Stabilize, get people back in the homes so they're recuperating at in a comfortable place rather than being someplace that's not their house. So, but thank you very much for coming here.
And thank you for having us. I appreciate it. Thank
Pleasure.
you very much.
Doctor?
Good to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more on An Evening with Senator Moore and some of the Senate updates for the remainder of the show. All right, we're back, and Senator, we have some questions for you. By the way, we'll let you off the hook this week. With all that's been going on, I don't have a zinger question for you this week.
You can't think of one? Think of one off the...
Well, I thought of a couple, but I don't think I want. No, I'm going to leave it alone this one. I know people look forward to it, but I got to rethink these. It isn't so much the question I have to rethink; it's the way to present it.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
and I've thought about it, and the way I would have to present it, I can't do it to you. I really can't.
Okay.
6 years ago I could, but I couldn't do it now.
Well, actually, how about one? I'll have one for you.
That works.
You know that Sheriff's Commission that we had briefly spoke about last show? Well, we've had our first meeting.
And I'm getting fired.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Great.
But we've had DOC come in. We've had representatives from the Mass Sheriff's Association come in, and we've actually just received from them answers to about 28 questions as far as the hiring practices from all 14 sheriffs, how they train, the medical programs that they offer, the healthcare programs they offer, which ones provide the programs through private vendors, which ones provide it through in-service, the costs. We're actually looking at bringing the state of Connecticut in. It's actually Connecticut, I think you're aware of this.
They phased them out.
They phased out the sheriff's offices 20 years ago. So we're looking to see how they did that. We've got someone looking at the cost of operating sheriffs compared to if DOC was to take over the operations. Because right now with the budget, DOC is looking at closing 2 state prisons. We haven't found out which ones yet based on what their appropriations were. So, but it's starting. So we're starting to look at a broad-based approach to this, see if we should stay with sheriffs, the current procedure, or whether we should move to look at reforming the whole system. And I think, as you know, there's right now 3 sheriffs for the Cape and Islands area.
Right.
One sheriff doesn't even have a
Jail.
A jail. So
That's the job I want.
yes, yeah, it's not a bad job for $120,000 or so.
Is that what he makes?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, boy, I missed a boat.
Yeah.
If I could just start over. But anyway, so what's my question?
Oh, that was just.
Oh.
I know we discussed it, and you're always interested in what's going on with the
Oh, I
sheriffs.
am interested
So-
because I hope I have an opportunity to speak, at least to you on that before you, because I know you're the chairman.
Yes, well, I'll let you know as we go along.
And I think I congratulated you on being chairman of the Ways and Means, right?
Oh, no, I wish I was chairman of Ways and Means. No,
Well, you're chairman of what?
chairman of the Committee on Higher Education.
Yeah, that's it. Higher
And,
education.
but then I'm vice chair of
Vice chair.
Public Safety, and then I'm on Ways and Means.
Yeah, okay. I knew it
So-
was something like that. Congratulations,
Oh,
because
thank
those
you.
are tough committees.
Yeah.
Being only there for such a short time, you obviously have made an impression on someone there.
And I'll tell you, it's very interesting.
You know who I'm impressed with. Speaking about your Senate down there, since we've been doing the show, and this is our 21st show, by the way, folks. I'm very impressed with your Senate president. I think she does a good job. I've been watching bits and pieces of her on TV, and she conducts herself very well. She commands the respect that goes with the job, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, she's very good. I remember when I first got sworn in, the speech she gave starting off the whole session talked about, because at that point we were just starting going into the recession, and about having to look at government and reforming the services, and she's really stuck by that philosophy. But if there's any chance or way that we can reform an aspect of state government, she's embraced it, which is good. You can't, right now, the way things are, we can't go for the status quo. We really have to start looking at new ways, and she does. And she's not one to take the back seat. She's got an opinion. She will put it forth in an appropriate manner. So
I don't know too many people like that. And on that note, folks, what I want to ask you was, Senator, that you recently took a vote, a very important vote, as a matter of fact, in the Senate regarding unemployment insurance. And I'd like you to tell us just exactly what that vote was and why it was so important, especially for businesses.
Well, this is the second year in a row that we've done this. We froze the unemployment rate. Right now, when we did it last year, we froze the rate. We were told that all estimates were that we would end December 31st, the calendar year, with a deficit in the unemployment account, trust fund. Well, we actually, as of January 1st, we had a surplus of about $12 million, which in the fund. But actually, by freezing the rate, if we didn't freeze the unemployment rate, it would have jumped roughly 35% per employee. So it would have increased from $644 per employee to $872 per employee. So that would have been a tough fiscal burden for a lot of small businesses to have to withstand right now, because the economy is starting to come back, but we haven't fully recovered. So we really do need to try to find ways to stabilize costs so that they can potentially hire. This could be the difference between someone being hired or not being hired for a small business, or for any company, I should say. You get a larger companies, if they've got to incur this cost for many employees, they may not increase their workforce, and that's the goal right now, is try to get people back to work.
Right. I think this state's holding its own. I mean, I have people criticize, and I'm probably every once in a while when gas goes up 2 more cents, which has absolutely nothing to do with us. But like everybody else, I scream and holler. But overall, if you look at the overall picture, I would be inclined to agree that this state is a lot better off than a lot of the other states, from what I can see.
We really are. If you look at, well, nationally, the unemployment rate has gone from 9.8 down to 9%. I think we're still at 8.2%, so we're still below the national average. But I think the increased cost of fuel, what's going on right now in Japan and the Middle East, and the effects on our economy, I think this really exemplifies the fact that we have a global economy, that the things that take place in the other parts of the world are going to affect Massachusetts. So we can't have a secular type of point of view for our economy. We have to really look at trying to make investments that are going to attract businesses from Europe, Asia, or from other parts of the country. We just can't be small-minded about this. We have to look at the big picture. And actually, if you look at the last jobs report that came out, we created when it went from 9.8 to 9.0, there were roughly 229,000 jobs that were created. But the actual job growth was only about 198,000. What we had was a reduction of municipal or public employees. We had a loss of 30,000 public sector jobs. So what we saw the previous 2 years, where we had the private sector losing jobs, but because of the federal stimulus money, and this shows how effective the stimulus program really worked, because we had the federal stimulus money that kept teachers, police, fire, public employees working. Yes, we had a loss in the private sector, but it wasn't doubled or magnified by a loss of public employees also, which would have only compounded the problem that we would have had of more people on state and federal entitlement programs. Now, private sector jobs are increasing, and the public sector is on a decline. It has been reduced a little bit. So again, I think this shows that what was done the last 2 years was effective as far as keeping people working, putting money back in the economy. But again, we're moving in the right direction. We just have to hope that the cost of fuel and what's going on in Japan right now doesn't adversely affect the forward progress that we've been making.
And it's an awful thing. It goes without saying, speaking of Japan.
Yeah.
It's an awful thing what's going on in there, and I know you, as our prayers go out to those people, and certainly hope that things start getting better. They can't get any worse, I don't think.
But I think it also, I mean, we will in Massachusetts, I think you'll see the administration look at all the emergency preparedness plans that we have. But I think it shows that you can't plan for everything. I mean,
no, you can't.
Japan, they have, and I never realized this, but they have earthquakes there almost every day, but of a smaller magnitude. So they actually withstood one of the largest earthquakes on record. I think the 5th largest earthquake on record.
9.0. That's a biggie.
But what they didn't plan for, and I don't know how you could ever plan for it, was the tsunami.
Right.
I mean, so how do you plan for that? And now, obviously that's resulted in the nuclear issues. But I know there's been talk looking at the plans that Massachusetts has for their emergency management preparedness. But again, no matter what you do, there's always some circumstance.
Oh, absolutely. I just can't imagine a wall of water coming at me at 500 miles an hour. I just can't even. On my best day, I mean, I couldn't even see something like that on one of these fantasy movies. That that's something you would see probably on a fantasy movie, but 500 miles an hour, it's unbelievable.
Oh, it's going to be pretty frightening.
Yeah, you could say that, Senator. You definitely could say that. By the way, I did think of a zinger question, which I'll give you at the end.
Okay.
You shouldn't have said anything. See, you got my mind working here. Hey, Senator, while we're talking about things getting better, as per usual, the State Treasurer's Office has recently put out their biannual listing of unclaimed property. Yep. How can people check to see if there's have anything on the list?
Well, they can go to the website for the Treasurer's Office. It's on www.mass.gov, and you can click on the Treasurer's Office website. Actually, if you wanted, you could call our office. They actually gave us a disc of the 2,400 names of the people in my district who are on the unclaimed abandoned property
Am I on
list. But we can check for you.
Check that.
And that covers unclaimed property includes forgotten savings, checking accounts, uncashed checks, insurance policy proceeds, stocks, dividends, the contents of abandoned safe deposit boxes, and accounts that are considered abandoned and turned over to the Treasury are accounts that are inactive for over 3 years. But they provided this. I mean, if anyone, I think this goes out to Sutton also through one of the other carriers, and every state senator and representative was given a list for their district of who is on that list. We just don't have the financial capacity to do a mailing or to put something out to all 2,400 residents. So anyone seeing this, if they think they may have some property, feel free to call my office.
I was on that list once.
Were you?
Yeah, I had an old bank account when I was a kid, and I think I originally put $5 in it, and I guess it had been so many years and an abandoned bank account, and I guess it worked its way up to approximately $25. I had to fight to get to $25. They didn't believe it was me. You know, I mean, but I did get it.
Actually, another program that the treasurer has just implemented or initiated. When he was running for the office, he campaigned about trying to free up more capital for small business. And this is something I had heard last year as chairman of the small business. We toured all the various chambers across the state, and one thing that we heard from small businesses was that there was a lack of capital, that banks weren't loaning money. So what he has done, he's put an RFP out, and they're trying to solicit banks that the treasurer's office will free up monies that they will have administered through various lending institutions to offer out to offer out to small businesses, whether it's for expansion or just to keep them going through some of these tough times right now. So right now we had a big meeting in Worcester about a week ago. He had various banks throughout Worcester County come in, and they were explaining the program. So hopefully they'll have something available to small businesses soon to free up some capital for them.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Well, okay, now we got your we got your zinger question now.
Okay.
Then I got a public service announcement I got to make, and then we're going to bid our farewells, all in that order. The zinger question is: the talk around Worcester has been the governor, our present governor, is thinking of mounting a campaign against the newly elected Senator Brown. What's the talk down in Boston?
Actually, no, it's funny because I just had a conversation with someone about this morning.
Well, I'd like to.
Well, he's already come out and said he's not going to run for the seat against Senator Brown. But I guess where there is some speculation he might is that he also opened up a federal campaign account to collect donations, but publicly what it is that he's going to use this money to campaign for the president. So that's just added to the speculation that he might run. And where he's right now, he is overseas
doing a world of comedy, isn't
on a
he?
trade mission.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's on
he's
the trade
thinking
mission.
of getting into the comedy business.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, it was on the news tonight. He's going to do a comedy act or something at some charitable show. I didn't see the whole thing. I shouldn't even say anything. But I do know a comedy and Deval Patrick was in the same sentence. And that wasn't a shot at Deval Patrick, the governor. It was not a shot, folks. It wasn't.
Well, so I mean that's added to some speculation because he's opened up this federal account. Some people are thinking that he may still be looking at that. But all I can tell you is right now, he said he's not going to run for the seat. That he's going to be campaigning for President Obama's re-election, and that's all I really know.
Okay. I just wanted to have a little fun with you.
Oh, that's fine.
You know, I like, you know how I like putting you on the spot.
But that was a good one.
Yeah, it was. I saw that. See, you opened the door.
Oh, that's fine.
You could have got off scot-free this month, but you didn't take advantage of it. All right, Mike, before we wrap things up here, I've been asked by the Emergency Management Agency in Millbury that they're holding their second annual pasta dinner fundraiser. It's going to be held Saturday, April 2nd at the Millbury VFW Post from 5 until midnight. There'll be raffles and there'll be dancing and entertainment. And all proceeds raised will be used to purchase emergency equipment and supplies for the EMA to assist Millbury residents during a disaster. And You can buy tickets in advance by contacting fire headquarters or Mike. How do you say Mike's last name, Mike? Scorsosha?
Where we
You know him?
looking?
Down the bottom.
Saskia?
You know how to say
Saska?
that? You don't have a clue either.
Yeah.
Call Mike. Call Dr. Mike. And the headquarters phone number, by the way, is 865-5328. And seeing that Mike's put these on the poster, I'm going to assume it's okay to say his phone number at 774-696-9457. And on that note, Mike, tell folks how we can get a hold of you in case we need you.
Well, actually, my email address is michael.moore@masenate.gov. The office number is 617-722-1485. Or, if you're around about town, feel free to talk to Joe and bring up any issues, and he'll bring them forth from us.
And we certainly had the week of weeks this week with
Yes,
that.
we did.
And but that's great. Mike likes that because it gives you an opportunity to talk to these people, get a hold of these people, and help them with whatever issue they had. So I'm easy to get a hold of. I don't have any of this website stuff. I'm very simple. 508-849-8379. He's trying to get me to look at this. I don't like that camera, Kevin. Mike, that wraps it up for this month.
Thank you.
You have a great month.
And happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We are in the St. Patrick's Day mood. And happy St. Patrick's Day. And I want to thank Kevin Kostopoulos for his fine direction here tonight. Our producer, Rita Sullivan. Our security director, Bob Sullivan. And everyone else connected here with the show. That's it. Good night, everyone, and see you later.
Right now we are rehearsing for a very swell affair. The annual celebration, all the gentry will be there. When General Grant to Ireland came, he took me by the hand. Says he, I never saw the likes of McNamara's band.
Oh, the drums go bang and the cymbals clang and the horns they blaze away. McCartney pumps the old bassoon while I the pipes do play. And Hennessy, Tennessee toodles the flute and the music is something grand. A credit to old Ireland is McNamara's band.
Oh, my name is Uncle Julius, and from Sweden I did come to play with McNamara's band and beat the big bass drum. And when I march along the street, the ladies think I'm grand. They shout, there's Uncle Julius playing with an Irish band. Oh, I wear a bunch of shamrocks and a uniform of green, and I'm the funniest.